Hi and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today we're gonna make what we hope is a really good party recipe, and we haven't tried it before, so we're keeping our fingers crossed that we love it, but it's called Blt Dip, and this is out of Deep Run Roots, Vivian Howard's cookbook. We love BLTs. It's not tomato season, so we're doing the best we can with that, but bacon, tomatoes, lettuce in a green goddess dressing. Sounds good. We'll see. I have all of my ingredients set up here for making the green goddess dressing, which you make first and can sit in the refrigerator until you're ready for it. So I'm just gonna get started. I have some sour cream, and I'm gonna just use this same plungy measuring cup thing to measure out my mayonnaise. There we go. Looks pretty good. Put this in here. And really, we just drop everything in here and whir it up and it's all done. So most of the hard work is done because I've measured it all out. I have some fresh tarragon, picked the leaves off of the biggest stems, and a sliced clove of garlic. I have quite a bit of basil. It's actually less than it looks like because I packed it in to measure it. It just kind of fluffs up. I have some anchovy fillets here. They did not stay filleted, so I just kind of guessed. We're just gonna put these in. You could also use anchovy paste, which is what this is more like, so it'll be fine. Might be a bit much, but we like anchovies, so. Got some lemon juice. That's good. And all I need is some sugar, some salt, and I think some pepper. Nope, no pepper. Just sugar and salt. So, a little bit of salt. And a little bit of sugar. There we go. And we just whir this up until it is green and blended smooth. So that's gonna be loud, but that's what I'm gonna do now. Have to turn it on first. I'm gonna call that done, and I'm just gonna put this into a container and put it in the refrigerator until we're ready for it. Our next step for the BLT dip is to get the tomatoes ready. It calls for 3 medium tomatoes. I've got 5 because they're smaller than medium. I'd call these they're not like cherry tomato size, but they're certainly not large, and I would call them small. So I'm going to small dice these and just take out the core and put them in this bowl. And when I'm done, I'll let you know what we do with them. So I've small diced kind of my tomatoes, and this is what gives me a little bit of hope that it might be okay even though we're out of tomato season. I'm going to add some salt and some sugar. mix that up. And then we're gonna let this drain in the colander. And 1 second, I'm gonna pour this into my sieve here and then just set it in this bowl. Be right back. Now, we're gonna leave this for 30 minutes. This will help get rid of some of the extra juices and concentrate the flavor. So hopefully it'll be good even though it's not tomato season. So, I have my bacon ready. I like to bake my bacon in the oven and it's supposed to be crispy. So I'm gonna crumble that up so we'll be ready for the next step. And we need to get our lettuce for the BLT dip ready next. So be right back. Okay, so the only thing really left for us to do for this BLT dip, besides putting it all together, is to get our romaine stems, our lettuce ready. So she says about half of a head. I've washed a head of a heart of romaine. So I've washed the whole head and I'll just put it in the refrigerator wrapped in paper towels. I have some laid out here for everything. Now, the weird thing is we only use the stems for this, and she says to cut off all but like 1/4 of an inch. That's probably a little more than that, whatever. And this part, the stem part, is what we're going to use for this dip. So I'm gonna do that for some of it, and then we'll slice it up. So you don't use the real leafy part, just the stem part. That's interesting. All right. So I've got a few over here now, and we're gonna cut these into 1/3 inch slices. And we need about a cup of that. So that's how I'm gonna gauge how much I use, how much I cut up. I know about what a cup is in this bowl, so I'm not gonna really measure it, but yeah, that's about a cup. So we're gonna go with that. And I'm gonna wrap everything else up in paper towels, put it in a plastic bag in the refrigerator for salad. Oh, we can save some of these smaller ones for garnish, which I think I'm gonna do, keep those out. And that's it. We'll be back to put it all together when we're ready. So we're ready to put together this BLT dip. My tomatoes have been draining for way more than half an hour, probably at least an hour, because I had other things that I was doing today. But we're going to mix this with, let's see, some pepper. The rest of the salt, which is, you know, one of those things you have to figure out sometimes in this book. So we have the romaine stems. We've saved a little bit of the romaine and some green onions for garnish, but we're gonna put most of those in here. I'll put this here. Most of our green onions that are just the green part sliced very thinly, which I did without showing you guys. And then all of this green goddess dressing. Pretty sure all of it. So we've just had this hanging out in the refrigerator. So we're just gonna mix it all up. There we go. Okay, just gonna mix all of this up, and it's kind of wet because the tomatoes are kind of wet and the green goddess is kind of wet, but that's what hers looks like in the book. So I'm not too concerned about that. And then here's me hoping that it all fits in the bowl. So the bowl that she has it in is something like this, maybe a little bit taller, but thinner. So I'm gonna put what fits in here because we still have to put the bacon on top. It'll all fit. Okay, that's good. Okay. There we go. Trying to find a place to put everything. So now I'm going to, I have my bacon. It was cooked crispy. I did not crumble it, but I am going to just run my knife through it a little bit to crumble it up. You can see it crumbles pretty nicely. And we're just gonna put all of this on top here. So I've got all that on there, and then I'm just gonna top it with some of the romaine and green onions that I reserved for garnish. A little bit overflowing, but it looks delicious. And I'm gonna make some, she suggests serving it with white bread toast triangles. So that's what I'm gonna do for serving, and we'll let you know how it turned out. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make the BLT dip out of deep run roots by Vivian Howard. And this is the first recipe that was 100% a hit with my kids. I think my son just ate it by the spoonful. They ate it with the toast points. They ate the bits of lettuce. They ate it with that. They loved it. So I highly recommend it. Doesn't require too much effort. As long as you have a blender, you can make the dressing. Everything else is just sort of making bacon, slicing stuff up, making some toast. All goes really well together. It was delicious just as it was. So highly recommended if you have a party, or if you just want to have a little bit of a snack instead of, instead of a BLT itself. This is really great. Even without it being tomato season, even without the best tomatoes, this was a great recipe and something that I'm sure I will be making again. So I hope you enjoyed watching me make this. And if you did, please leave me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and come back and watch me cook something else next week.